Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Rays Rewind with Bell, Bushman, and Drew.
Jansen. That is into center field. Here comes Kiermaier. Phillips has tied the game. Arose Arena coming around. Throw home. Now he stumbles. But the ball gets away. Tampa Bay wins it. Brett Phillips, Game 4 hero.
The sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Rays Rewind podcast, the sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast on the Sick Podcast Network. I'm one of your hosts, the Great Old Bushman, and joining me as usual is my good co-host, Drew. Make sure to go to our YouTube page at the Sick Podcast, Rays Rewind. Just like and subscribe to the page. Make sure to go to our Instagram page and also go to Rays Rewind Pod and hit that follow button for Instagram because we like to take pictures and put betting slips on there too. So you guys can go on there and check out our latest betting slips. So we've got a great show for you tonight. We've got a special guest to come on, and I'll bring him on right now. He is one of the hosts of Foul Territory. Please welcome to the show, Scott Braun. What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? Great to see you. Great show. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. So let's get right into it. I know we're a Rays-centric show, so I wanted to get your assessment as of right now of the Rays. What are your thoughts about the Tampa Bay Rays so far in 2025?
Exceeding expectations, going against the grain as they usually do, as they bait the entire league into thinking that you should pull starters in 5 seconds. And then they're like, just kidding. Actually, our starters go deeper than yours now, suckers. So I love that. Plus, that's a good shift for baseball. So I'm a big fan. It takes durability too, but that isn't the name of the game. And the Rays have had a boatload of pitching injuries over the past 5 to 7 years. I don't know the exact numbers, and it's hard to put math to it since some starters are much more important than others, but they have definitely been up there in terms of significant long-term injuries, a lot of Tommy Johns. I know it's across the league, but I think it's fair to say that the Rays have definitely been up there, as have a team that now Andrew Friedman runs in the Los Angeles Dodgers. The difference for me is I'm like, the Rays are now in a much better spot if I'm looking over the past year and a half or so versus LA, just injury after injury. And so if you're in their spot and you can just pay your way past it, that's great. If you're in the Rays spot, you need to be able to maximize what you have. And they're doing that as well as any team in baseball right now. And of course, still doing that without Shane McClanahan, who is their most talented arm. So when he comes back, if he comes back as the Shane Mack that we're used to, that is a very, very dangerous pitching staff to mess with both in the regular season and in the playoffs. From a hitting perspective, I'm sure this has been the theme all season, but you're talking about some of the young guys that are shining. I mean, Junior Caminero is a friggin' blast to watch in terms of the way that he obviously has fun on the field and hits the baseball as hard as anyone in baseball. Super excited that he A, made the All-Star team, B, is going to be in the home run derby. I, of course, was watching.
I don't
you don't like it.
I don't like it.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
He's crazy.
So I'm excited to see him put on a show in the Derby. And we watched him, of course, in winter ball. He was like the most popular guy in the winter in baseball. I've got his bobblehead right behind me. He's been on the show a couple times. He's a big Foul Territory fan. And lastly, Jonathan Aranda I've been hearing about for years. Where are we going to play him? He's going up. He's going down. Just let him hit. And they have done that this year. And he has been incredible. So my assessment is that they're in the thick of things. They should be big buyers for their purposes at the trade deadline. I know what the limitations are. And I hope that the Rays make it to the World Series so that Major League Baseball has to put their tail between their legs and have the Rays playing a World Series in Miami in a basically neutral site disaster. And they'll blame the hurricane, but really we should blame the fact that the Rays should have had a new home 10 years ago.
That's true. I was going to say that long list of pitchers is almost like the Browns' long list of quarterbacks that they've had on that jersey. So it's kind of like that a little bit. So it's kind of
it's instead of a monument park, it's like a cemetery of pitchers that should have been on the Rays that actually were on the Rays, but they just were always injured. Matt Moore, Nathan Eovaldi, all the fun guys. It's funny you mentioned the lower the expectations. We talked about this before the season. We're like, well, the Rays aren't expected to do anything this year. No one's really picking them. Maybe you get a person that's like, oh yeah, they could be a wild card team. Usually that means they're destined to be like at the top of the division. So, and of course, they would never actually go on a big playoff run in Tropicana anymore. They're not allowed to since 2020. So it makes sense that this would be the year that they would establish themselves as a potential playoff team that could go on a run when they're not even in the Trop. So all that checks out. You mentioned the obviously they're defying expectations. As far as the AL East goes, it's been the Yankees at the top, and say what you will about them, they're obviously getting a lot from Judge and from Fried and Rodon. They're slipping now. Now the Blue Jays, they're surging ahead. I know they lost today, but they had won, I think, 10 in a row. And the Rays are kind of, in a rough spot in the last week or so. The bullpen's been awful. Where do you see the Rays and the Red Sox too, right there? Where do you see the Rays fitting into the division picture we're past the halfway mark. So, post All-Star break, you think the Blue Jays and Yankees, you think are going to stay at the top, and the Rays and Red Sox are going to fight for a wild card spot, or how do you see that shaking out in the division?
I think it's a 3-team race. And sure, if I'm going to power rank it, I'm going to put the Blue Jays just because they have the few game advantage right now, then the Yankees, and then the Rays. Obviously, the Orioles are a disaster this year, and I think the Red Sox will fall off. The pitching is okay, not nearly as strong in my mind as the three above them, and they're relying so heavily on youngsters. Do I think that Roman Anthony is going to be amazing and could be a star? Sure. Do I think that Christian Campbell is going to have a nice career? Probably, right? We can go down the line, Marcelo Meyer, but they're all rookies. You're relying on almost half your lineup as rookies, and when whatever it is drama-wise, when you trade away your best bat in the middle of the season, to me, you're punting. You don't believe you're a World Series team, because they could have handled this for the rest of the year and then traded him in the offseason. So anyway, I put them on the fourth rung. I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're more of a 500 team. So I think the Rays are in the thick for a division, and if not a wild card, if I had to predict, I'll put them in a wild card spot for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we talk about the Junior Caminero thing real quick? I don't want to gloss over the home run derby, because Evan, we talked about this before the show. We always joke we got to save it for the show. I need to hear. First of all,
you want to hear my thoughts?
I want to hear Scott's. He's the guest. We'll let him go first. Junior Caminero, good or bad? You think for him? I think Evan's concerns might be that it might cause issues in the second half.
Don't talk for me.
I'm assuming that's what you're saying. Scott, where are you at on this? Because obviously it sounds like you're on the right side with me, and Evan's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of players that have had great second halves. So I don't think there's enough math there. I think there are plenty of players that have been just fine in the second half of the season. The concern could be how a young player handles it and, recovers after it. I mean, a more recent example would be, say, Judge, when he was in it, and I think it was either 2017 or 19, and he did have some type of shoulder issue, I think, from it. That's a problem. You don't want your best power bat in that spot. But I've seen plenty of guys be just fine in the second half of the season. And we've even seen some guys take off even further, right? I mean, the famous one recently, I think it's 3 or 4 years ago, Juan Soto had a super slow start in the power department in the first half. And he even said in his Juan Soto way, yeah, I need the derby and then it'll help me get locked in. And it did. So I don't think one day is going to change anything for anyone. And I think if you know how to handle it and you're in, decent shape, and for Junior, he's very young and he's used to taking powerful swings all day long, including in batting practice and all winter long. I do not believe that one day for an extra hour of swings, a couple hundred more swings in one day, it's going to change the impact of the second half of the season. Can someone get hurt? Sure. But that's like saying you don't want to. I mean, I know it's different, but like you can get hurt in the All-Star game. You can get hit by a pitch in the All-Star game, and it's a fake game. It doesn't mean anything. So I'm okay with it. I think it's, for the most part, a non-story. I used to be into it much more when I was younger. I feel like the classic article would come out in a magazine like, look at the numbers for so-and-so since he did the Derby. And then there's been more research since then that shows plenty of players that are fine. So I kind of look at it as a wash.
Look, valid points, the both of you. Valid points. I will commend you on that. I'm looking at it towards more as the superstitious baseball kind of fan, where, hey, going into the Midsummer Classic, which, like you said, it's a nothing game. It doesn't matter. And you're having these guys go in there for the risk of injury. So that's why I don't want him to do it. Like, I don't want him to risk messing something up and then we don't have him for the rest of the way. That's why, to me, like, hey, if you get elected to the All-Star game, great. Do what Jose Ramirez did and said, you know what, I'm not going to participate. That's just on me. That's my opinion. But like, great, he's going to home run derby. I think we talked about this before on the show, Drew. Is like, it's great exposure for him as a potential superstar in the making to be on that, front and center stage on national TV to do this. I hope he puts on a show, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, dude, if you do this and you get injured, you're going to mess up a lot of things going forward after this. That's my only concern. Like, I love the home run derby when Rays players are not in it. That's another one of my opinions. I think, look, that's the only best and great part about the All-Star break is the home run derby. The All-Star game is just now boring like the NBA All-Star game, like the NFL Pro Bowl, which is a joke now. So I will only tune in on the home run derby. Other than that, great. But it's always that risk of injury that I'm always like, please don't get injured.
But your thought process is basically saying that you don't want the derby to exist because
no, I do want it to exist.
No.
I don't want Rays players to be in
He wants all the other players to get injured.
But let's just play this out, okay? You're running the Rays. You get to make the call. I mean, technically you don't, but let's say you do, right? You are Matt Neander or Eric Neander, sorry, and Junior Caminero comes to you and says, "Hey, permission to do the home run derby." I don't think they need permission for that. It's more of a WBC thing where they go back and forth with the pitchers. But let's just say that's the case, and Evan's in charge. Evan says, "Nah, love it. Don't want my players doing it." Okay, let's just replicate that for 29 other teams. Now it doesn't exist, right? I mean, another team's going to go, "Oh, cool. Evan's team doesn't do it because there's a 1% chance there's an issue, but we should do it." For what reason? So you either have to be all in and be like, when it's a year, when I've got a guy, and let's be real, it's not very often with the Rays, you have to be all in on it and be like, hell yeah, go for it, have a time. Because there's teams all across baseball, especially clubs that are in the playoffs on a consistent basis, that watch their guys go to the derby. Pete Alonso finally said no, but he's been basically an every year guy. So if you take him away, you take all of that away. You either have to say, I'm all in, let's do it, or I hate it, I don't want my guys in it, and I don't want it to exist at all. So you'd say that for derby, All-Star game, WBC.
I can't have my cake and eat it too, though. I can't say I hate it when Rays
well, how
players
can you? I mean, put me in a position where you're allowed
you can split a piece of cake half and half. You can do two little slivers, so you can have both.
Right, but explain the real life scenario where I can actually do that and then tell the rest of the league, kiss my ass, you guys have to put your players in for my entertainment.
Listen, anything that the Rays can do to get exposure and to have cool players on the Rays, be in a national.
Look, I'm fine with him. Look,
I'm all for it.
I'm happy for him being in the home run derby and everything. To me, it's like,
listen,
man, just don't.
Because there is a real scenario where he goes out and wins.
Yeah,
and looks awesome doing it, and he immediately becomes on the minds of all casual fans that tune in for this kind of thing. He's immediately a name. And I think so anything that brings like positive attention to the team, to a team that like the Rays that struggles for national attention, when I think they deserve more than what they get most of the time, I'm all for it, man. And now with Jose Ramirez being out, I was talking about this with Evan before the show too, Scott. I think Junior's going to start now, right? Is that how that? I think because Jose and Bregman are out, so I think he was the next up. So
yeah, I didn't look. I mean, I've been on
they haven't made
6
that
hours, but I know that since he's in, and I know J-Ram's out, my guess is unless I'm missing someone, he should be the starter, which is great,
and it'll be exciting. So
look,
Evan, yeah, man,
am I not going to watch it? I am going to watch it. So
he's just yelling, "Get off my lawn!"
Yeah,
while we're shaking his fist at the sky, yelling at the clouds while he's watching.
But it's such a low percentage chance that there's a problem, and then he even wins it. Most likely is he has maybe one sick round, falls in the second round, whatever, and makes a little name for himself because most baseball fans have no idea who Jonathan Aranda and even Junior Caminero are yet.
Look, if he has a round like Josh Hamilton did back in the day, that'd be amazing.
Oh yeah, but think about it for the Rays. I mean, the guy that everyone's known the most over the past 10 years is probably Randy Arozarena, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the reason they know him is because for 1 month, he was Babe Ruth in October of 2020. And he is so fun to watch. And he is one of the biggest personalities, but he's not the only big personality, even on the Rays over the past 10 years. But he's the guy everyone knows because he was put on a national stage and he shined. So you got to do it. That's the whole cake you needed too. You want the Rays to be successful. You want them to be relevant. this is the way to do it.
Yeah, I know.
Him and Randy and Corey Dickerson, obviously the two big personalities you were referring to, I'm sure.
Oh, Corey Dickerson for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All-star Corey Dickerson, I might add.
Hey, I had some good combos with Corey Dickerson back in the day. Yeah. Hey, he had a couple good years.
He did. Yeah, he did.
He won a Gold Glove, I think, too, with the Pirates. Yeah. Well,
had some good success with the Rockies. I remember, if I can recall, I had a combo with him where I think it was with the Rays that he got cut or traded very last minute before a season started. Is that ringing a bell?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, or they DFA'd him. Right? DFA'd him, I think.
Is that what they did? Yeah.
Yeah, they DFA'd him. Yeah. Yeah.
It was something that put him in a tough spot. It was, I think, late in spring training, and it was not the introduction because they've been doing it already, but it was one of those moments where they're like, oh, they did that to Corey Dickerson. Like, they really don't give a crap on the turnover front. They are just a machine. They'll treat you well when you're there, but they will cut bait so fast.
Yeah. I mean, it was DFA'd, and all the fans on X and Twitter were like, dude, what are they doing? And I think it was after a season, he wasn't batting so well. And that way they were just like, look, we got to do something with him. And that was the only way to do it. So
get Malik Smith up.
Yeah. So Scott,
Chandler Simpson, please, over Malik Smith.
As we inch near the trade deadline, looking at the Rays too, and all the AL East. Actually, I mean, let's look at all baseball in general. Who's going to be really the most aggressive? Who's going to maybe come out of left field and just make a pretty good blockbuster deal to push them over the line to get into the playoffs?
Wait, we're talking whole league, AL.
Let's go Rays first. Like, where do you see the Rays? Probably like a little bit of buying, a little bit of selling, or maybe more buying.
The Rays should just be buying. I mean, they're very definitive. And last year, they identified their team as not good enough for playoffs, and some teams would have given it a little more of a shot and not given up so much. I give them credit, but then if they're in a position like this, you have to do the opposite. You have to go in hard and tell yourself, okay, this is a good team. This is a playoff team. And who knows, this could be the year that we're like the Diamondbacks from 2 years ago, who had a mid-level payroll, I think 18th in payroll, and they made it to the World Series, right? And lost to the Rangers, who also weren't like the most highly touted team out there at the time. Like, this is baseball. This is not where the Yankees and the Dodgers meet every World Series. That was just last year. I mean, most of those big market teams actually haven't won that much over the past several decades. So if I'm the Rays, I'm going hard right now. I've got two guys, at least that we've mentioned right off the top here, that I think could be superstar level bats for the second half of the season, and some nice complementary parts. And then a pitching staff that goes pretty deep and then gets to shrink once you get to the playoffs anyway. Because, I mean, the Rays staff's getting pretty deep here, especially if Shane Mack comes back and looks the way he does. And keep in mind, I mean, you don't need 5-6 starters for October. You really need 4. And then some teams have had a ton of success with starters moving to the bullpen and being multi-inning guys in the playoffs. And the Rays would absolutely do that. So the Red Sox, when they won, in 2018, they were sending their starters for bullpen days out to pitch out of the bullpen, and it was successful for them. The Astros have had success with that multiple times. Of course, the famous Lance McCullers kind of year where, he's coming out for a few innings and you're like, damn. So anyway, I think they're in a great spot. They should be buying hard. And they should try to get themselves another big boy bat if they can.
There's some fan conspiracies right now, since Stu might be selling the team this year, that he might go all in, and that way he could push him to a World Series title and be like, hey, peace, I got my World Series title. So,
and the revenue is maximized the year after super success, not the year during. The year during is a little bit. The year after is where you really reap the benefits. I think the Rays are in a unique case based on the ballpark, sale of the team, the whole deal. I get all of that, but still, if you're going to do that in your stew, there's no better way to go out, right? You've run a franchise that has had a lot of success in terms of wins and losses, but they're looked at as a model franchise in some ways, almost in a bad way in some ways around the league, just because a lot of other owners try to copy them. They're like, why can't we be balling on a budget? And it's like, well, every team can't do that. It's just not how it works. And also, technically, they haven't won a World Series. So do you want to be exactly like them or kind of like them? But anyway, for Stu, this would put it all together. I had a lot of success from wins and losses, plenty of playoff appearances, a World Series appearance. And then, of course, he'd want to win one before he goes out. And then the franchise value would be at an even higher point, because that it's going to reap the benefits over the next year or two.
Gotcha. And for the rest of the league, where do you see who's going to be the most aggressive? Who's going to come out of left field that's just going to blow everybody away, going, where do they come from with these trades?
So if we go down the line here, I mean, obviously the Yankees are going to do some buying. They always do. They don't usually drop the hammer down, but they at least will do something to add to the mix. They definitely need a third baseman. I do think the Blue Jays are going to go pretty hard. I mean, this is a front office that's under a ton of heat. They had a winning window that didn't last as long as they thought it would, but now it's kind of coming back. They were able to secure Vladdy to a long-term contract. Bo Bichette has bounced back. They've got a more complete roster this year, so I think they're going to go very hard. Of course, the Tigers are going to go hard in the American League Central. Anyone else in the Central right now? I don't think so. I mean, you might not have another wild card.
The Tigers are just running away with it right now.
They are, and I think the Royals will bounce back a little, and if they get close enough to 500, I could see them adding a bat because I do really like their pitching staff. And remember, last year they went pretty deep into October, and even just them making the playoffs, coming off a 100+ loss season, was amazing. And then out west, Jerry DiPoto usually is active on the trade market. I know they've been a frustrating franchise in general for a while now, but that's more of an ownership thing because they've just halted the budget when they were supposed to be in a better spot. Like, what happens is some teams will dupe their fans and be like, hey, we're hanging low right now and not spending much because we're waiting for that one moment to really pop. And the Mariners did that, and then they just didn't capitalize over the past couple of years with, I think, a historically great starting staff. So I could see the Mariners going pretty hard. And yeah, the Astros are going to be active. The Astros are great again. They're always really good. So that's kind of the laydown. I mean, trying to think if there's anybody else that'll definitely push chips pretty hard. Am I missing anyone out west? I don't think this is the Rangers' year. It's been weird again for them. It's like World Series hangover part 2, which isn't usually a thing. The A's unfortunately still stink. And who else am I missing out there? I think I've covered everybody.
What do you think the Padres are going to do? Padres going to be pushing pretty aggressively, or?
Yeah, they'll push. Yeah, they had a hot start, 14-3, and they've been about 500 since then. I still think they're a good team. I mean, they're missing a lot of guys too. So Yu Darvish just came back a couple days ago. That helps. Michael King is supposed to come back at some point. If he's feeling good, he's a number 1. I like the offense. They, in my mind, were, I would say, I don't want to say by far, but very close. They were the second best team in baseball last year in my mind. Dodgers 1, Padres 2, and the Padres were so damn close to beating them, right? We would be looking at them completely differently if they were able to slay the Dodgers, and I do think they would have annihilated the Yankees in the World Series. That was a freaking gangbusters bullpen, very solid starters at the top, and it's a really good lineup. It's got really nice variety to it. Obviously, Tatis can pop off, Machado, those guys are solidly consistent. Arise is great to give you variety like that in a lineup. Jackson Merrill's a star. Bogarts is still very solid. It's not a superstar, but he's a very solid, average to above average player for them, and who's having a nice bounce back season. The Padres, I feel like, have been overlooked since the offseason because they had to taper payroll a little bit, but I'm like, whoa, this is still a good team. They found a gem like a Nick Pivetta to fill a rotation spot, so I like them a lot.
Cool.
So do you have a prediction on, I know going back to the home run derby, since it's coming up, who do you think is going to win it?
Tell me who's in it. I don't even know the rest yet. Did we fill it out in the last 2 hours?
Okay,
I think there's 2 slots left. I think there's
I think slot 7's going to win it. I don't know. I don't know who's there yet. I can wave for you.
It's Raleigh, James Wood, O'Neal Cruz. Which is O'Neal Cruz even an all-star? Is he just like there for the derby?
Not as of I last checked. Not an all-star. No.
So then you got Caminero, Buxton. And then slot 7 and slot 8 could be maybe they get Corey Dickerson to come back and slam a couple balls over.
Maybe one of our foul territory guys. Todd Frazier won 10 years ago. He'll be there calling it, so maybe we can get him on there.
Get AJ to do it.
AJ would.
AJ would.
He would. If you gave him some time, he would have a blast with it. But
are you guys headed up? Are you guys going to the festivities next week? Cool.
Yeah. We'll be down there. We'll be in Atlanta in the Battery doing live shows on Monday and on Tuesday with Truist. They have a fan zone called Truist Community Corner. So we'll be there, meet and greet stuff, and then we'll have the live show. We'll have some live interaction with fans. So yeah, we'll be there all out. This will be our 3rd year of existence. We've been at All-Star every year. I'm excited about this one because the last 2 years, especially including this one, we are like really in the thick of the action. And this is actually the first year that will be an event that's open to the public. So there'll be a lot more people involved, get rowdier. The first 2 were like semi-private where you could get tickets through however they put it together. This one is just Here's the location. People flow through. They've got a lot of legends stopping by. I think Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, guys like that, Dale Murphy, John Smoltz that are making appearances, some of which will get on the show or otherwise just be hanging out with us. So should be a good time.
Scott, before we get you on out of here, one last question is going to be out of left field. Savannah Bananas, good for the game or bad for the game?
Good for the game.
Okay.
Good for the game. Yeah. I mean, I'm not following them closely. I follow them on socials and see their stuff, and it's entertaining. To me, I mean, without getting too deep into it, isn't it just a really cool Harlem Globetrottery type of situation for baseball where they don't always win, but it's a very similar situation. So I'm like, cool, that's fun. And for me, the way that you grip fans, because I worked for the league for a long time, is at a young age, mostly by them playing, but also if you get them to follow the game in any way, then you're hoping if you're Major League Baseball, you should be supportive because they're maturing into also being MLB fans and not just Savannah Banana fans. And I know they crush it with kids, so I'm all for it. And it was a reminder to the sport anyway that they needed to make some changes, and MLB's done a good job of that over the last few years. The pitch clock should have been a thing 10 years ago. I was calling games in the Arizona Fall League, I feel like almost a decade ago, where they were testing it. And because MLB and the players have such a crap relationship, they can't agree on anything. It took that long to implement it. That really hurt the game. It was getting way too slow and dragging out just time between action. And then coming up next year is, again, one of my favorites. We're going to have the ABS challenge system. Everyone's going to love it, guaranteed. It's going to be incredible, and we're going to get to see it at the All-Star game. We talked about it on the show today.
Yeah, robots are going to be there.
Gosh, it's going to be freaking sick. And to me, I know that they still want to test some things out before they do it for every pitch, but I actually don't know if I want it for every pitch, only because I think the challenge system is going to be so fun for fan engagement, right? We're still in a time period now where umpires will miss 20 calls in a game, and 10 of them might be like way outside of the zone. And everyone in the stands is just going to be like,
just be careful how you tap your head because you're going to get thrown out like Taylor Walls.
Yeah.
So be careful how you tap your head. Yeah.
But not at the All-Star game and not next year.
True. That's true.
It's going to be this. You're only going to have to be careful because teams are going to have some internal drama if someone's hogging up the challenges and not getting them right. You're going to be like, hey, bro, you don't know the zone. Save it.
I can see now the big Stein people with big hand, like foam hands, just like tapping their heads behind home plate. That's going to be fantastic.
I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. Because we want accountability, and I'm not worried. It's the same with replay. Like, obviously, you can't set rules where it's like, oh, that was close. That's not what it's for. But for the most part, there are still plays that happen, right, where someone's safe at first and they're very blatantly out. There's all these situations that occurred when we were growing up as kids where I'm like, this is insane. How do we not fix this? And we did with replay, not that complicated. We're going to have the same situation here where, like the other night, Orion Kirkering had 3 calls in a row that were balls that should have been strikes. Like, we're not going to have that anymore. Obviously, there's strategy to it because if in the 3rd inning, one of your other hitters blew it for you, you can't use that. But of course, if you're a team, you're going to save at least 1 for later in the game. It's a matter of how many they're going to give you. I think 3 is the right number. I think 2's too little, and I think 3 will be fun. But think about it. If you're with a really crappy umpire, 3 can very quickly turn into 13 because if he keeps getting it wrong and he can't see the zone and he's getting fooled by framing, or he's got a dead spot in his vantage point, he's going to get exposed and it's going to go viral in a good way. Cause we're going to be like, hey, Angel Hernandez can't exist anymore in his form because we're just going to keep doing this and saying, nope, you're wrong. You suck. This is going to be a 5-hour game till you fix it. You're going to have to sit here with us and hear it from the fans. So anyway, as you can tell, I'm very excited about it.
Dude, it'll be like basketball soon. Like baseball will be like basketball.
Great movie.
I tell you what, it's the play that's going to be changed is when a runner's stealing and the catcher pops up to get ready for the throw and the pitch is right down the middle. But because the catcher pops up and catches it a little bit lower since he's standing, and he guns it to second, and the guy, I swear, every time the umpire's like, that's a ball. It's like, that was in the zone over the middle of the plate. How is that not a strike? That happened in the Rays game a couple of days ago. And
all of that's gone.
This is insane. Like,
yeah,
we've got to fix this. Like, just because the catcher stands up, we cannot miss that call.
I'm with you. Or it's a bad frame gets screwed over too. Right. Yeah. And it's like, okay, but it was a strike. We all saw it. I mean, the boxes just ruined it for a lot of people. And I know it's not perfect, but my counter to that is it's close enough. And I don't get worked up on the borderline stuff.
Right.
And some people do, like they'll post, the screenshot of the zone. And I'm like, okay, they'll be like, look how many got it wrong. I'm like, well, he picked 3 borderline calls and went this way instead of that way. But we all know it happens every week in baseball. You can come up with, I would say, at least 5 to 10 pitches. I might be underselling it, where you're like, how is that guy a major league umpire? And that is going to go away. So I'm very excited about it.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for coming on the show. You can catch him at Scott Braun on X and also at Foul Territory TV. Scott, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Appreciate it, Evan and Drew. Enjoyed the combo. Thank you.
Thanks, bro. You had your cake you needed to. I'll have my cake with the All-Star break and the home run derby. I'm just saying, look, I'm all for him about getting national exposure on for the home run derby, but I just don't want him to get hurt. I don't.
Well, listen, yeah, I mean, I don't want to get hurt either, but I'll take the risk. I'll take the risk.
Look, I know you'll take the risk, but look, if he comes out and wins it, that's great for him. But I'm just saying, just don't tweak anything. Don't get gassed.
Did Randy have a slump or?
He did. That's why I'm concerned. Like, he went out, he did all right in like the first round or so on the home run derby, and then the second half, he was kind of meh. And even in going into the playoffs, he was like nothing. That year they were in the wild card game. He was nothing.
Speaking of Randy, I think he just hit a 2-run homer against the Yankees.
Oh, good.
Thank you, I'm trying to pull up his splits from 2023. It was 2023, right? Yeah. It's in Seattle. July, he hit 153 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. So that wasn't great. But then he popped up for a 280 average in August and 4 home runs. So
I'm just saying.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You both had valid points. So I'm just saying.
Some were more valid.
Yes, I know some are more valid. I'm just saying there has to be some kind of yin and a yang where somebody takes the opposite of the spectrum.
I just want him to go win it. Just go win it. Have fun. Look awesome. Wear the Rays jersey. It's going to be great.
Look, I'm still going to watch it. No matter
Dude,
what.
if he could get his hands on, how in the slam dunk contest, they sometimes the guys will pull out these jerseys that they put on. If he could somehow get a hold of the black throwback jersey to wear, that would be sick.
See that I'm okay with. If they start to make
that kind of stuff, if he can really show it up a little,
See, I'm okay with that. Bring out the old school purple and black jersey, the old purple ones. I had the purple and the black and the old Devil Rays one, or even bring out the green ones. The green ones, yeah. Remember the purple ones they had? Purple accent. It was the purple accents on it. Not the whole thing was purple. The purple accents.
Yeah, it was black. The black ones. That's what I'm talking. That's the one. That's what I'm talking.
Okay. Or bring out the green ones they used to rock.
Oh, like the Rocco Baldelli era.
Yeah, the Rocco Scott Casimir era. You bring out the green one.
Yeah.
Bring that out. No, the black ones.
The Devil Rays. Yeah. They're subjectively. Those jerseys are subjectively some of the best jerseys in baseball.
Oh yeah.
Or I guess objectively. Excuse me, is what I'm saying. Hey, Rays won this day. Well, today, the record day.
Yeah, Rays as of today, Rays take one from the Detroit Tigers, 7-3. Good to be back in the win column.
Won't win another one till Sunday at this rate. The way they're going between the Athletics and the Twins and the Tigers. So
look, if this is their slump, before we get on out of here, if this is their slump, I'm okay with doing it right now. It just seems like they always get into a slump right before the All-Star break, and it gets concerning. But if this is their slump, and after the All-Star break they regroup, everything's good to go, then I'm fine with it. But if you're going to continue to play like this after the All-Star break, what are we doing here? I mean, because you got pretty much all the reinforcements back. The bullpen has been a huge issue the past almost 2 weeks. But, as Scott said, look, they're going to be buyers at the trade deadline. Get them some more reinforcements. I know Boyle is up. Ian Sizemore got brought up too. So those are 2 big guys that can eat innings. And Boyle could probably start a game. You could move Rasmussen back into the bullpen to save his arm a little bit too. So,
they're doing the opener. He's going to be the opener.
That's fine with me.
That's fine with
me. But for them, nearing the trade deadline, for me, I think this is the best Rays team we've seen on paper and on the field in a long time. So if you think this is it, I would say go all in, put your chips in, make the right moves, and just go all in, man. Shit.
Well, yeah, it could be similar to 2021 which I don't remember exactly. I'm having a hard time thinking about what the lineup looked like in 21 before Nelson Cruz got there, but it felt like there was an obvious fit to get a Nelson Cruz like bat. I would imagine it was probably like, hey, we need a right-handed bat. And Nelson Cruz was perfect
Yeah,
setup.
but
I mean,
it was perfectly, but it was like a year too late.
yeah, but like at the time, I don't know. I would love for them to do something similar, right? Like
I do too.
obviously I would love for it to work out better in hindsight than the Nelson Cruz one did. I would love a move like that. That's like, because I remember when Nelson Cruz, I remember the first game he played was against Cleveland on the road. They were on the road against Cleveland, and I remember seeing him in a Rays uniform. I was like, this is insane. Like I was pumped, and
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I would love that kind of move to
Hey
someone
man,
like
if
not
the
even on our radar. And I see people talk about like Marcelo Zuna because I think we've identified that like the Rays need a right-handed power bat. They do need a right-handed bat.
so here's a trade scenario.
But
I don't know.
Ozuna doesn't make sense.
Here's a trade scenario that was put out there. It was by I forget the writer was. It's for ESPN about blockbuster or Godfather moves.
Mhm.
Like huge post, big trade deadline moves like you would never have thought of. And
Mhm.
one of the moves that they stopped or put out there was the Rays trading for Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah.
So, but let me hold on. Let me find the trade
Oh,
package.
yeah, that was ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN did
I
it.
think,
Let me find the trade. I know it was giving up.
like, Carson
Boz was the center of it, and there was a few prospects that we
yeah,
would give away.
Carson Williams was one.
Yeah, Carson Williams, Boz, and then there was like two other prospects for
Yeah.
Acuna. But
The Rays
to
are
me,
willing.
is that too much to give away for Acuna? Because obviously with
No,
his injury
absolutely not.
history. Okay.
Absolutely not. I mean, I love Carson Williams. I'm excited about him hopefully being the everyday shortstop, but like absolutely not. I would if that meant we had to sit through another couple of years of Taylor Walls at shortstop, I would be just fine.
Here's the full trade. Rays get Ronald Acuna Jr. Braves get Carson Williams, Shane Boz, Theo Gillen, Yonel Curet, and Brody Hopkins.
Yeah, I mean, those are all guys that you think are going to contribute for the Rays. Theo Gillen was the first overall or first round pick last year, and he's been great in low A. Hopkins is in the futures game, and
To me, if that's
Curet,
a
is that how you
realistic
pronounce his last
trade,
name? Curet.
I think so. Yeah.
He's on the 40 man, and
Look,
he's double A.
if this is a realistic trade, which obviously we have no idea, I'd say pull the trigger because Acuna's under a team-friendly contract right now with the Braves, anyways, where they're really not paying him that much. I think he's under control for the next 3 years.
Yeah,
I say if he's available, and the Braves are pretty much they're pretty much out of it, right? I mean, they're not going to be.
yeah. I mean, they're not doing enough to really be in the
If he's
conversation.
available, I'd say pull that trigger.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely. I mean, I think that's the whole premise of the article is
I
like,
know.
hey, it's like out of left field, guys, you and everything. So it's certainly not saying that he's available, but I, I don't think they would do that. I mean, that would be great in theory. I just, I don't know. I would love. I don't want them to trade for Austin Riley, but like I would love an Austin Riley type bat. But the thing is like you have to be very mindful. They have to be very mindful of position if they're going to
Right.
bring a bat in. That's why I think they're just going to hang on the fringes. I would love someone like a Rob Refsnyder who could play the outfield when he's starting, and you could stick him in left field or whatever, and he crushes lefties, like actually crushes lefties, and still does. It's just that the Red Sox are unfortunately, kind of hitting a surge here and probably going to be quote unquote buyers. So they probably wouldn't be willing to get rid of them, but they've kind of got a roster crunch anyway with all those young guys, and they've got a bunch of outfielders, and there's talk about them getting rid of Duran. And so I don't know. Like, I think that's where they're going to end up going is like when we've talked about that, like a platoon, weak side platoon bat that can play the outfield, almost like somebody like Christopher Morel, who has been non-existent in like a week. I don't think he started a game in over a week. They're like probably playing him. So I don't know what the deal is there, but that feels like the area where they could upgrade because I've seen Marcelo Ozuna talked about, which because he's in a walk here, and yeah, that would be cool.
Eh,
But like if he's a DH only, that means you've got to put Yandy or Jonathan Aranda at first every game, and then the other one wouldn't be able to play. You know, like you would have to, or like Aranda would have to play second, you know, like he used to last year some, but then now you're cutting into Brandon Lau. Like, what do you do with Brandon Lau? You know, so it can't be a DH only guy because you've got Yandy really as your DH and Aranda's, you know, picking it at first. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I've heard Byron Buxton, he's kind of gotten tossed around, but he's got a no trade clause, I'm pretty sure. And, you know, I don't think he would be a guy that the Rays would be interested with his injury history and the Trop playing service and all that. So I don't know. That's why I'm thinking it's either going to be like, they're going to be bullpen and fringe pieces, or it's going to be someone just completely out of left field, so to speak, who could play left field maybe. But
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Rays Rewind podcast, the sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast on the Sick Podcast Network. Make sure to like and subscribe at our YouTube page at the Sick Podcast Rays Rewind, and also at our Instagram page at Rays Rewind Pod. Thanks for Scott Braun for hopping on the show and talking about Rays and the All-Star break and Home Run Derby and trades coming up. We'll see you guys later on another episode of the Rays Rewind podcast. See you.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Rays Rewind with Bushman and Drew on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.